My husband cheated on me, then threatened the other woman with leaking her intimate videos. So I drove him into insanity and had him committed. 2 years later, he's begging me to tell everyone the truth. I was once walking my child to school when I noticed one of the moms glaring right at me. So I did what I always do in these situations. I simply stared at her back. You see, my husband is a stud, green eyes, curly hair, stable income, so it wasn't rare for women in our daughter's class to give me dirty looks. If anything, I lived off it. Like, yes, you know what I have, and you can't have it. Moi. Usually this only happens once, and my death stare scares them off enough to never try again. But then I saw her do it again the next day and the next day. I was honestly close to clocking her, but then I noticed something. One time, there were tears in her eyes, like she was heartbroken. And if there's anyone you can count on for gossip, it's the moms. So I did some digging and found out she was a single mom, never had a husband in the picture, and was new to the area. I honestly thought she was just trying to be my friend. The next week, I gave her a chance. I'd always seen her being bubbly with the other moms, so I felt pretty comfortable striking up a conversation. But the second I turned to her, her eyes fell to the floor and she put her hand on her stomach as if to stop herself from hyperventilating. So then I figured it was just social anxiety or something until I got in the car. Honey, why the F were you talking to that woman? My husband yelled with pure rage in his eyes. Well, my husband never yells, so my first reaction was to start crying. I think he realized he was overreacting, because that's when he put his arm around me and claimed he hadn't gotten his first coffee of the day yet as his explanation. I nodded, but fear still clouded my mind, so much so that I didn't even mention the woman again. I was sort of hoping an explanation would just fall into my lap, that it would be simple and lighthearted. Honestly, I think deep down I knew the truth. That same day, as I got our daughter ready for bed, she said, "Mommy, Ben's mommy told me to give you this." She held out a piece of paper. If I read it, a monster would come after me. Can you tell me what it says? Ben, of course, is the mystery woman's son. I nodded, thinking it would be some kind-hearted apology. Oh, how wrong I was. At the very top of the paper read, "Open when you're alone." So I told my daughter I would tell her in the morning, gave her a kiss on the forehead, and turned off the light. I locked myself in the bathroom. Every possibility ran through my head. Was the teacher a creep? Was my daughter secretly being bullied? But it wasn't any of those things. Luckily, the letter read, "Your husband has been threatening me. I never knew you guys were together. I'm sorry." That's it. There was no other explanation, a dystopian treasure map written by someone with schizophrenia. I went downstairs and opened my husband's favorite bottle of whiskey. As soon as he heard the bottle open, he was practically drooling for a glass. I filled it to the brim, and he swallowed it down in under a minute. And just as planned, the next morning he was too hungover to go to work or to drop off our daughter at school. So, like the loving wife I am, I made him breakfast in bed and reassured him that one day off wouldn't do any harm. I dropped Bella off extra early so I wouldn't miss Charlotte, Ben's mom. That's when I saw her. As soon as she waved goodbye to Ben, I cornered her. One thing about me, I'm a girl's girl. I will always prioritize a woman's safety above all else. Charlotte, I need you to explain what's going on. You have my word that I won't tell, okay? She said without hesitation, as if she knew this conversation was bound to happen. She followed me to my car, whipped out her big black iPhone, opened a message, and began to scroll. My heart dropped when I read the name at the top. Before I continue, there's some information you need to know. Picking our daughter up from school is very new for me. It used to be my husband's job, so Charlotte genuinely believed he was a single father. With my own eyes, I read my husband's threats, clips of them making love, dozens of intimate photos, and threats to leak them to the school, her family, and her workplace because she had found out he had a wife, me, and wanted to make sure I knew the truth. I swallowed the bile in my throat. Charlotte took my hand. She promised to help me with whatever part of the divorce process I needed, as long as I made sure her stuff didn't get leaked. But I shook my head. I didn't want that. He had not only broken my heart, he'd broken our home, Our baby girl wouldn't get to grow up with two parents. I wanted something worse than divorce, something that would destroy him. And so began my plan. About 3 weeks in, I started noticing little changes in him. Shadows beneath his eyes, a tremor in his hands, the way his gaze darted to his phone every few minutes with mounting anxiety. I asked one evening, "Everything okay at work?" He rubbed his temples, wincing. "Roger keeps saying I send him bizarre emails, but I swear I didn't write them. And yesterday, my presentation files were all corrupted, numbers scrambled, projections completely off." I frowned sympathetically, though satisfaction bloomed in my chest. "That's strange. Maybe someone has it out for you," I murmured, reaching across the table to squeeze his hand. His eyes widened before narrowing. "You think so? But who would do that?" I shrugged, innocent. "I don't know, honey. Do you have enemies at work?" He spent the rest of dinner silent, mentally cataloging everyone who might want to sabotage him. The irony that his biggest enemy was sitting across from him completely escaped him. That night, while he showered, I went through his phone again. His password hadn't changed my birthday. I sent a text to his boss about tomorrow's client dinner. "I think we should invite Melissa from accounting. She and I have some ideas to discuss." Melissa was Roger's wife, and everyone knew they were having marital problems. I deleted the message from his sent folder and put the phone back exactly where he left it. The next morning, he was a mess. Roger called at 6 a.m., furious about the text. "I swear I didn't send it," he insisted, pacing our bedroom. "Why would I suggest bringing his wife? Everyone knows they're practically separated." I gasped appropriately. "Could someone have gotten into your phone?" He stopped pacing, his face paling. "You think someone's hacking me? But how? Why?" I suggested changing his passwords, which he did immediately. Of course, I watched carefully, memorizing each new combination. The next phase involved Charlotte more directly. We arranged for her to accidentally run into him at the grocery store while I shopped in another aisle. I watched from behind a cereal display as she approached him, her expression terrified. "Oh, please," she whispered loudly enough for me to catch. "I haven't told anyone. I swear. Just leave me alone." Before he could respond, she hurried away. When I rounded the corner with her cart, his face was ashen, sweat beading on his forehead despite the store's aggressive air conditioning. "Was that Ben's mom?" I asked innocently. She looked upset. He flinched visibly. "I don't know. Maybe." "Weird," I commented, placing a box of Bella's favorite cereal in the cart. "Want to grab some of that whiskey?" "You like? You seem tense." That night, he drank 3 glasses of Doctor's whiskey laced with non-alcoholic spirits, all the burn without the buzz, growing frustrated when he didn't feel its effects. I watched from over my book, noting how he kept checking his phone, jumping at small noises, glancing out the windows. "I think someone's following me," he confessed after his 4th glass, his voice tight with anxiety. "At work, at the store, I keep seeing the same faces." I set my book down. "That's terrifying. Should you call the police?" He backtracked immediately. "No. No police. They'll think I'm crazy." "Why would they think that?" I asked innocently. He didn't answer, but I could see the doubt eating away at him like acid. Was he losing his mind? Was he doing things he couldn't remember? Or was someone really tormenting him? The answer, of course, was yes to all 3. I enlisted Vanessa, a pharmacy technician friend, to help me acquire mild sleeping aids. Nothing dangerous, just enough to make him groggy, to blur the lines between what was real and what wasn't. That evening, I made his favorite pasta dish, carefully lacing his portion with crushed pills. As we ate, I casually mentioned, "Oh, I ran into Charlotte today at the coffee shop." His fork clattered against his plate, sauce spattering across the tablecloth. "What? What did she say?" "Nothing really." I blinked innocently. "Is there something I should know?" "No," he said quickly, voice pitched higher than normal. "I barely know her." I nodded slowly, letting doubt creep into my expression. "Okay." She just acted weird when she saw me, like she was afraid. He pushed his plate away. He'd eaten enough. Within an hour, he was fighting to keep his eyes open on the couch, words slurring. "I feel strange," he mumbled, head lolling against the cushion. "Poor baby." I cooed. You've been working so hard. Why don't you go to bed? Once he was asleep, I got to work. I moved his wallet from his pants pocket to the sock drawer. I switched his toothbrush with a slightly different one. I changed the time on his watch by 17 minutes. Small things he might attribute to fatigue or forgetfulness, but my masterpiece came next. Using his sleeping thumb, I unlocked his phone, then sent messages to 3 women from his contact list coworkers, nothing romantic, saying, "Can't stop thinking about yesterday. Let's keep what happened. Us." I deleted the sent messages but left the confused replies that trickled in the morning. The next morning, he was disoriented. "My watch is wrong," he muttered, "and I can't find my wallet. It's in your sock drawer," I said without looking up from my coffee. "You put it there last night, remember?" He looked at me with dawning panic. "I don't think I did that." I feigned concern. "Are you feeling okay?" Before he could answer, his phone chimed 3 messages in quick succession. I watched as he read them, his face cycling through confusion, panic, and fear. "Something wrong?" I asked. "No," he said quickly, stuffing the phone into his pocket. "Just work stuff." Over the next few days, I escalated my campaign. With Teresa's help, we arranged for a stranger to approach him in a coffee shop near his office. "You need to stop calling me," she said loudly enough for others to hear. "I'm not interested, and I'm going to report you if it continues." He was bewildered, protesting he had no idea who she was, but the damage was done. People whispered. At home, I continued my psychological warfare. Items disappeared and reappeared in strange places. His clothes were subtly rearranged in the closet. The thermostat randomly adjusted. All the while, I played the concerned wife, suggesting he see a doctor, get more rest, take vitamins for memory. "I think someone's coming into our house," he told me one night, eyes darting to the windows. "They're moving my things." "That's terrifying," I whispered, clutching his arm. "Should we call the police?" He backtracked again. "No police. They'd think I'm crazy." "Why would they think that?" I pressed. He fell silent. Doubt ate away at him. Next, Charlotte sent him an anonymous email. "I know what you did to those women. Stop now or everyone will know." He received it during dinner. I watched his face drain of color. "Bad news?" I asked, cutting into my chicken. "No," he said, voice drained. "Just spam." That night, I heard him pacing in his office, muttering, "They can't prove anything. There's no evidence. No one would believe them anyway." I listened. Outside the door, savoring each harrowing word. He was starting to crack. Soon, he called in sick migraine. I dropped Bella at school, texted Charlotte, and phase 2 went into motion that afternoon. I found him locked in his office, surrounded by scattered papers, desperately searching for answers. "What are you working on?" I asked innocently. "Nothing," he snapped. "Just work stuff." Charlotte had slipped a burner phone into his secret hiding spot in the garden wall, loaded with dozens of threatening texts to various women, texts he would find that afternoon. When he discovered it, I heard a crashing thud, a string of curses, then silence. When he emerged, his face was ashen, eyes hollow. "Everything okay?" I asked. "Just dropped something," he muttered. I watched him unravel. Emails, documents, phone records spread across the kitchen table as he searched for who was doing this to him. I kept my concern on high, letting him look at me as his only ally. Then I planted the ultimate trap. I connected the USB drive Charlotte had given me to his laptop, transferred the damning emails into his drafts, and scheduled an automated message to his entire company contact list at 3 a.m. Subject line: "The women I've manipulated." I lay in bed pretending to sleep as his phone buzzed around 3:30. I heard him curse, fumble for his phone, panic. No, 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 this isn't happening. By morning, he was a wreck, unshaven, wildeed. "I can't go to work," he announced. "Someone hacked my email." I widened my eyes. "That's terrible. Should we call the police?" He refused violently. "No authorities." Over the next week, he deteriorated further, stopped showering, barely ate, slept in his office with the door locked. I heard him plead for ID support and anyone who'd listen. No one believed him. The evidence was overwhelming. A week after the email incident, Roger called. "We're concerned about him," he said. "His behavior erratic, paranoia, outbursts. I suggested professional help. I sobbed convincingly. But he refuses. Roger planted the seed. I invited friends over for dinner casual night. He tried to refuse but relented, too exhausted to fight. Throughout dinner, he made paranoid statements. I'm being watched. Conspiracies at work. Someone's breaking into my house. Nathan and Stephanie exchanged worried glances. I played the worried wife to perfection. After they left, he confronted me. You think I'm crazy too, don't you? I chose my words carefully. I think you're struggling, and I think you need help, he repeated flatly. Help? You mean locked up? The idea was planted. The next morning, I woke to find him gone, car missing, no note. Panic seized me. I called Roger. He left last night. He's been talking about people following him. I'm worried he might hurt himself. Roger alerted security at the office. 3 hours later, I got the call. He confronted Teresa in the break room, accusing her loudly, became combative, and the police were called. I rushed to the station as the distraught wife. They had him in a holding cell, pending a psychiatric evaluation. When I saw him, disheveled, pacing like a caged animal, he lunged at the bars. You did this, he shouted. I let tears fall. I don't understand who's Charlotte. That was the final straw. You, Charlotte. All of you drove me crazy, he screamed. The officer led me away as his shouting echoed. The psychiatric evaluation was a formality. Acute psychotic break with paranoid features. They transferred him to a psychiatric facility for treatment. I visited, bringing photos of Bella, speaking softly. He glared, accused me. Charlotte, Vanessa, Teresa, they all disappeared. The evidence of his affairs, his threats, his manipulation existed only in private messages and burner phone logs, no proof for anyone else. To the world, he was simply a successful man who suffered a breakdown under the pressure of work and family. 3 weeks later, I filed for divorce on grounds of mental instability. The judge granted me full custody of Bella, the house, and most assets. His parents, horrified but sympathetic, didn't contest. I see him occasionally, always the supportive ex-wife. He's heavily medicated now. Sometimes I catch a flash of clarity in his eyes, but it fades. Charlotte moved away last month, fresh start, new city. Before she left, she hugged me. You're terrifying, she whispered, but I'm glad we met. I smiled. Girls stick together. We protect each other. As for me and Bella, we're doing fine. I've started dating again, a kind, honest man who treats me like gold. Bella asks about her father sometimes. I tell her he's sick, that his brain is confused right now. Someday, when she's older, perhaps I'll tell her more. Or perhaps not, some stories are better left untold. I still have the evidence, of course, insurance, just in case, but I doubt I'll need it. His doctors say his condition is chronic. His paranoid delusions are deeply entrenched. Sometimes I wonder if what I did was wrong, if there was another way. But then I remember his threats, the women he hurt, the fear in Charlotte's eyes. I remember how easily he lied, how completely he fooled me for years. No, he got exactly what he deserved. A prison of his own making, reinforced by the very manipulation tactics he used on others. Poetic justice, really. And me? I sleep just fine at night. Ask Chat gapped.